Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. And first of all, thank you very much for attending this live webinar. We've started to do more and more of them, and there's a lot more lined up in the next few months. But really, the purpose of them all is just make people aware of all the great things that are happening out there. I think personally, we get very swamped with this new thing and another new thing, and it becomes quite hard just to keep on top of what's going on. So what we're trying to do is just make it as easy as possible to make as many people as possible aware of what's going on. And today we're joined by Rashad Al Safa. He's currently in the middle of Dubai, which is why it's so dark outside. And we're going to talk through Tabscanner and his journey to here and what it does with it. Obviously, if you get any questions at all, feel free to reach out on the chat box. We've got a couple of polls that we'll do along the way as well, just to kind of get your engagement, your feedback as to where you are with your particular journey. But so Rashad, thanks very much for doing this. Appreciate you taking the time. I know it's probably very late with you.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We're just hitting 8 o'clock now, so it's Thursday night, which is kind of like a Friday night over here. But yeah, it's all good. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, hopefully we can go through stuff and just be informative and useful for everybody. And yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm always interested in people's personal background. How did you get to? Obviously, maybe Dubai is part of the story, but generally, how did you get from where you started off to Tabscanner?
Yeah. So so I'm just past 40, so not too old. But basically, I lived in England my whole life. I'm half Bahraini, so I have roots over here in Dubai and Bahrain. I'm married to a Bahraini, so it kind of made sense. We visited here a lot. It made sense to move some of my companies. So as a bit of background, I'm kind of entrepreneurial. I've got a number of different companies, and we basically started Tabscanner with a partner of mine who's our chief AI researcher. He's also the CTO. So we started that early 2016. It took almost 2.5 years to get a market-ready product with the research and development that went into the technology. And yeah, I made the shift just before that out to Dubai from the UK. I was kind of it just made sense with family, so that was that really. Yeah.
Perfect. And with Tabscanner in particular, I mean, how did you discover the opportunity or the gap? What were the steps that led to even starting that journey?
Yeah, it's quite a funny one actually, because like I say, I'm an entrepreneur, so we have a number of different apps and businesses and digital products. And my partner, who's also like a very close friend of mine from when we were very young, we some of my team, we came with an idea, and it was a really simple idea. Actually, it was not the greatest idea. It was a bill splitting app. So when you're out at a restaurant with a big group of you, who's paid for this, who's had the chicken, who's had this, you take a picture of a receipt, extract all the line items, and you can kind of split the bill simply. So that was where the idea came from. But obviously my partner, being a really talented AI researcher, great data scientist, he wasn't so much excited about that idea as he was the actual technology itself that would power it. So we looked into that, and there was nothing actually available that could do that. I mean, there was things like ABI Fine Reader, and it just wasn't up to the task. So he was really excited about it, so we partnered, and I funded it, seeded it all the way, and we built out the technology over nearly 4 years, basically. Yeah.
Excellent. And I think it's like many things. Once you start off with kind of an idea or kind of a problem you see, then as soon as you start dwelling into the problem, then the world starts to expand. And you see new opportunities and new kind of applications.
Definitely.
So
yeah.
Just so in terms of I'm always interested in how you get from having an idea to having something ready. I mean, how long? You said it took 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a monstrous journey compared to anything that I've ever done with any of my other companies. Nothing has ever been that long to develop. I mean, the first 1.5 years was a black hole of funding and investment, because we didn't even know if we could solve the problem. You know, it's a really complex problem. You know, all the different myriad formats of POS receipts in the world, and trying to come up with a solution that's accurate enough to have a, you know, a market ready product. So it took almost over a year and a half to even find out, maybe even 2, to find out the correct techniques of training AI models. And that was the biggest challenge. So, you know, there's a lot of creativity that comes into that from an AI perspective. And I remember after about 18 months, when we kind of cracked it with totals, understanding total extraction in a basically even a character agnostic way. And that was it. I remember that morning very well when my partner sent me that video, and we were just extracting these totals out of completely random formats. And it was like, wow, that was the eureka moment where we knew we were onto something. But then we still had a big way to go to build out all the other parts of the technology. But that was the core, you know, light bulb moment, if you like. But up until that, it was pretty dark, you know, a lot of money spent with no knowledge that we could even do it, you know, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are definitely pioneering times for any technology organization. And I also think there's two parts to the pioneering. Kind of the ideas are, you know, we can all have ideas. Just taking action is kind of like the difference between most people and, you know, the people with ideas. You know, but also, you know, there's two parts. For me, there's two parts to the pioneering. One is the technology people who are actually, you know, trying to get the thing working, and the other part is the organizations who then go, okay, I get the concept, you know, how would I use this in my organization? So how did you first start to work with clients? What was the first kind of conversations with clients like?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good question, because it was, even when we started building the technology, we knew it had, you know, obviously lots of potential, you know, all that data trapped in these paper POS receipts, and people manually entering that data. You know, it's a global problem, obviously, but we weren't really sure about what were the exact markets. Obviously, we figured expense management would be, you know, a part of it. But it turned out that actually our initial alpha and beta testers that really helped us kind of grow were from actually a market research space, where they were looking, they wanted to understand the products and the codes on receipts from a consumer behavioral perspective. So we didn't even know that that was a potential use case, and it's turned out to be an absolutely very, very large market for our technology. And there's lots of surprising you know, fraud checking, you know, tax rebate stuff. There's lots of little markets that use this technology. Well, obviously, when we were building it, we had to uncover these, and we took the approach of a customer first approach, that let's get alpha and beta testers on board, and let's listen to what they want, and let's build it around what people want. You know, let's not go into it thinking, you know, we just build this. It was like we took feedback and to build the next feature, and just kept it going organically like that. And we still do to this day. You know, that's our approach. Yeah.
No, again, this is what I find fascinating, is that a lot of people have great ideas, but it's only once you start doing some of the ideas that the unexpected starts to open up. You know, you didn't realize that the fraud aspect, or the whatever, you know, these opportunities, they only come once you actually have taken the action, you've crossed the line, you've got something real to talk to people about.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, and also then the product starts evolving, and then there's new avenues. So we're going to see the product in a minute or two. So just in terms of, you know, September 2019, where are you now with the product? What are you doing with it?
Yeah, so we had a market ready product at the end of 2018. We launched about February this year. So we've scaled up pretty fast. You know, we're processing now around 7 million receipts per month. Various different use cases, all different. We have about 150 customers of varying size. Probably most of the volumes actually come from like our top 3 customers. So yeah, it's been a really exciting year. Really, like, lots of hard work to keep up with things, and it is non-stop. You know, but basically, yeah, that's where we're at now, with loads of new opportunities are cropping up daily. So it's just, we're at a case of now we're looking, maybe late seeding and possibly at the end of the year, maybe looking to a Series A type, investment just to scale this. But before we have a couple of things we need to build out before we do that. So that's where we are. So it's exciting, yeah.
And what's your route to market? How do you get your customers? And also then the next
So
question, once you get your customers, what's the first conversation involved?
Okay, so really, I mean, this varies massively. There's so many different use cases, so what some people are interested in line item data and the detail, and I can show you some of examples of that, later on. But effectively, it really depends on what the customer is. You'd say like expense management, most people are just interested in core data, like the total, the establishment, the date, just the core expense data for expense management. Then loyalty reward applications, they want to match products so they can reward customers for the purchase of a Coke or a Mars bar. So we have to understand each use case before we start a conversation there. And so yeah, there's probably about 4 or 5 common use cases that once we know that, we can kind of be a bit more informative in the conversation, if you like. But in terms of the acquisition, in terms of the acquisition, mainly we've just grown from organic search results. If you Google receipt OCR, you'll find we're #1. First page for receipt data extraction, these kind of terms. So we've grown pretty much organically like that, and we do some outreach, but that's the part of that we'll need to really develop to scale out as a business from here. But it's been really good just from organic growth.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, well, that's the dream. People coming to you rather than you having to go out to them. So
yeah, that's it. It's right. If somebody's searching for what you want, that's it's the best case scenario, really. Yeah.
And then, so when your customers are thinking they've got options, what's your kind of your USP, your kind of killer message that makes them think about using you rather than other options they think are relevant?
Yeah. So I mean, we test against other APIs. We do believe, with very strong evidence, that we are the most accurate technology in the world. So that's obviously a USP. But aside from that, we're a very, very simple API call. So it really is just these 2 endpoints. One to get your token, one to get your results. So it's just really. It's a highly complex technology using very, very advanced models that's accessed in the most simple way that a developer could dream of. So that's probably our biggest USP. The accuracy is obviously, and the detail of the data we get into is obviously a major plus. And we're not like, we're not like other providers. We're quite open. We talk to our clients. We learn from them. We'll even perform data refinement if needed. So we're a pretty kind of we're a friendly, nice, open company who wants to learn how we could improve constantly. So yeah, I guess that's kind of a summary. Yeah.
Yeah, especially where you're at in your stage of development, listening to the customers could be invaluable for learning new problems, new issues, new things, new directions to take the product in. And
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
your relationship with RPA, how did that come about?
Yeah, so we had some people coming on board who were in the RPA space. We then spoke to Blue Prism. We demoed our technology with Blue Prism, and we went down the technology alliance partnership route with them. So that was great. They were really supportive, really helpful, and they've helped us to kind of enter into this new space, because we didn't know really about the RPA space when we were developing. It was actually one of the last kind of markets, if you like. Having said that, robotic process automation, it does go hand in hand with what we do, because at the end of the day, it's about automating processes, and data entry is a massive part of that. So us solving the data entry side fits nicely with RPA, but at the same time, we don't need at all an RPA platform for our technology to work. Because it's such a simple API call, you could find that somebody might use it within an RPA platform, and somebody might use it in exactly the same way, just coding it themselves very easily. So, but it's definitely opened up doors. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to open up one of the polls about, whether who's using OCR at the moment. If you can, I just launched that. You can fill it in as we're going along. But again, I think one of the things that I find fascinating, just, take away RPA, machine learning, OCR, whatever, just in the whole sort of technology sector, this kind of, the blurring of the boundaries, the kind of, or the collapsing of the boundaries and the interoperability and interconnectivity of so many platforms, just with a little bit of API, it's kind of opening up just so many, just a kind of very unique routes for people to kind of take things to the next level, no matter where they are. And I think that's kind of one of the most inspiring things that I think is going to speed anyone's growth further. So that kind of interoperability, connectivity is absolutely key. So I'm really intrigued that you brought that up.
Yeah, I honestly believe firmly that APIs are the future in terms of development, and basically, if you're building a new product, do you go and build each part of the technology individually, or do you just focus on the core aspect of your product and then use proven, reliable APIs where you have just like a whole wealth of technology and development behind just a simple API that connects into your solution? And I think that is the future. That you'll find people less and less doing in-house development and kind of competing against each other. I think we'll find way more specialists in every single area of technology, and by partnering through APIs, you can build your own new and creative software applications effectively. And that's, I find, really exciting, and I just think it's the way it's the new kind of SaaS model, I think, so I can see that growing as a trend in the future massively.
Yeah, I mean, just going to close the poll there, we'll talk about that in a second. But exactly, I think this is what we're finding with RPA. The ecosystem is building up, and the kind of people putting bots onto platforms so that no one has to reinvent the wheel. But just that then creates the speed of development, but it also creates the opportunity for these absolute micro niches, to be accessible to everyone. So these kind of like small APIs that most people in the world would never have thought about. Someone sees a niche, can develop it, and they can monetize it and turn it into something incredibly valuable, no matter how niche that is. And I think that's kind of what's going to speed things as we go forward. And again, super exciting. Do you want to let's move to the demonstration? I think it's really, if you can maybe talk through it just a step by step and then show how it works.
Yeah, so that's fine. So I mean, in terms of our technology, so at tabscanner.com we have what we call like an instant test platform. Now it's important to be clear that this is just it's just a dashboard to enable you to easily view results. So you can upload a receipt to our test platform or a batch of receipts. You get 50 credits when you sign up. And it just, we're really proud to be open about our technology. It's not an exact science. Anybody who tells you that they could solve this, even plus 99%, it's not true. If you're hitting like 96% accuracy on this, you're doing very, very well. So basically, we feel we're one of the only technologies that just allows you to upload any data without us looking at it, and you can just see for yourself what the results are like. So when you're on there, you can literally just click on the instant test platform. Obviously, you will then have to go through a registration page. I'm already logged in, and it'll just take you into this dashboard that you can use to do basically test uploads. It has the API help here on the dashboard, and basically, any developers who are looking at this, they'll see that it's just super simple API, and then we also have this manual, so you can connect to the API. Just you get your token, your API key, sorry, here at the top, and we get a lot of people just jumping in, startups, and they just want to integrate and throw some receipts in through the API and just see how it works. So it's really fast for them to iterate and prototype like that. And then we also built on this just the test upload function. So for people who don't want to get their hands dirty with even any kind of development, you know, we have like there's an image editor upload. This kind of just gives you an idea of how you can use it on a mobile phone. We have the editor, not because we need to crop our images, and I can show you that later, but basically you could get an idea of how it would work maybe within a mobile phone application. So it goes into an image editor, and then, you know, there's a kind of cropping function. And we actually don't need that, but there's a lot of existing applications that already have this kind of function. So it just lets them see how that would kind of work within that. And then you just upload, and then basically it's like as soon as your receipt hits our server, we're processing in around an average of 3 seconds to get your result back. So my connection's a little bit slow on the upload here. The wonders of Dubai broadband. So I'll just give this a chance. But it's an interesting one, this actually, because I think I picked this because you can see there's a line all the way through one of the line items description, basically. So it's kind of to show, if we move this out of the way, we should be able to, yeah, the result will come up. So basically, once it hits the server, it's like 2 to 3 seconds upload. But so you can see here the data we're extracting out of, say, a Walmart. Excuse the pounds because my account's set to UK. It's not set to global. But you can see all the line items we're pulling out. And it's interesting when you zoom in on something like this, which is cotton balls. It's come up over as column balls, but you can kind of excuse it with that line through it. And then the product code, which has got a line all the way through, is actually extracted 100% correct. So, you know, the AI we built, it's predictive. You know, it's intelligent AI. But what's more important about the models that we built, it's about data classification. So we've trained our models to understand, you know, what a total is, what an address is, what, you know, all the fields of a POS receipt are. So, so yeah, I mean, I could actually just show you, like, this is one which we've done some enhancement and refinement after it's been done, and we can get right into line item details. As I said, we had market research companies coming on board. So basically breaking line items down to units, discounts, you know, price, product codes, is all, like, you know, it's super advanced when it comes to this receipt OCR. And I think I've probably got maybe some multi-language. Yeah, I to be honest, I'm not sure if this is Chinese or Japanese. I believe this is Chinese. But it just goes to show you, you know, like the multi-language OCR, we can extract, you know, it knows it's a product code without knowing even the language, if you know what I mean. So fundamentally, we don't know what the AI is actually doing. We've trained it, and it'll do, there's no way we can actually tell how it really understands, you know, what it's extracting effectively. So yeah, and we're also doing, you know, like e-receipts, because they're a core part of expense management. So like flight tickets get extracted as well. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like a brief. So here's a good one to show you in terms of how most people want the cropping function, but this is basically an example of what we can do with no cropping on an extremely large receipt. It's probably taking a while to load because it is a large image. So you can see here, this is a pretty huge receipt, and taken from a big distance away, and consuming, just so you can see the resolution is, as long as it's, you know, fairly crisp and clear, we can, you know, literally pull all those line items out of you know, a receipt like that. And then just to show you kind of underneath, you can see like the JSON code, and that's what basically developers would get returned with everything broken down. We offer confidence scores on each result, so you can set up rules as to what you will accept. But we're basically hitting, on a batch of 50,000 receipts across the world, multi-language, we're hitting 96% accuracy on totals, which we do believe to be the strongest in the world. So yeah, I guess that's just a kind of summary of what you could do to demo the technology. And then there's also it's really nice to see all the creative applications that are being built off the back of it. Yeah, that's it really.
So obviously, it's always very easy to focus on the negatives in terms of, as opposed to the positives of the 96%. But what happens to the 4%?
So what we do is we offer a thing called, and we're the only technology to actually kind of validate totals. I'm not sure if this one is. Yeah, this is a validated total. So this one would never have to be checked by humans because it's validated by our technology. Because we're pulling out line item information, we can basically cross-check and against all of the data on the receipt to validate it, pretty much like how a human being would. And then confidence scores, so they range from 0.5 up to 0.99. You use the confidence scores to effectively decide on your rules for auto acceptance. But it's worth bearing in mind that when we tested against Mechanical Turks, Mechanical Turks are only around 97, 98% accurate. That's human beings manually entering the data. Because I mean, what you have to remember is, you get people tired and they're staring at receipts non-stop, entering in data. They make mistakes. They'll get a subtotal for a total, and so humans cannot get 100% accuracy. That's the thing that people don't necessarily grasp. So 96% accuracy on 50,000 multi-language receipts is very, very impressive. And if you break that down into regional areas and isolated regions or retail stores, we get higher than that. So that's a really to just be tested on any random format in the world and get that kind of accuracy is that we do feel that there's no other technology that can do that.
Yeah. I kind of feel guilty in asking that question about the 4%, but you're absolutely. I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that you brought up, our human failings, our human frailties, and the fact that we're not perfect. So that's an incredible benchmark, to have that available. And I'm sure that's when the starts to drop. That actually, no matter how strong you are, your competition really isn't perfection. Your competition is, a human being.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a human being, and also you have to bear in mind that you would look at a receipt like that will be extracted in 3 seconds. How long would it take a human to enter that data? So there's the efficiency of speed. When you're doing receipts in 2 to 3 seconds, that's obviously superhuman and beyond in terms of capacity of what you could process. So. And this technology is opening up new markets. It's opening up things that people didn't believe that it was possible to do this, and it's interesting when we see our testers from a few years ago when we were in alpha and beta and when the technology was in its poor phase, and then to come back a year later, 2 years later, and they're like, wow, this is actually highly usable technology and really beneficial now. So yeah, I mean that's the state of the art, if you like, but yeah, I guess
that's what I say to any startup. I mean, I'm working with a facial recognition company at the moment, and any startup or any buyer is that this is just the beginning of the journey. This is absolutely so being in the starting point gives you a massive leap. When the technology moves 1% more or 2% more, you're already in the game, you're already playing in the game, you already got live customers, or you're a customer, you're already using this live, the flaws, but where it's going to go next, and you're just so well positioned, either as a buyer and a user or as a supplier and a developer. You're actually so well positioned now just by being in the market. I mean, certainly something requires a bit of perseverance and a bit of patience in terms of investment, and whether it's your own funds or whether it's VCs, or as a buyer, your boss saying, well, hang on, we're only 96%, I want 100%. It takes a bit of perseverance to kind of,
No, and that final closing of that gap is the real, for that extra 0.5%, the work that has to go in, is incredible. So we are always refining the models. We're always looking at ways to improve, and we're always just tightening the tech, trying to get closer and closer to that 100%. In reality, I don't believe it will ever be 100%. as a human won't be 100%, but we're going to do everything we can to try and get there, you know. So that's the goal, and we just keep, and I guess that's one of the things about being such a specialist in expense data extraction. It's, we're not worrying about anything else, just focusing purely on our technology. We've got there's 6 of us, 7 in the data science team, and they work relentlessly at improving this technology. And it's also, like you say, it's an advantage when you get in early and you're processing millions of receipts every month. You've got the data, you've got the training data, you've got what maybe other people don't have to improve the tech.
Yeah, well, I was going to launch the last poll, about whether what people are using currently with RPA or just AI or combination. But I was just thinking, you actually, I can see yourself almost running an annual competition to, for humans compete against your technology to see who could be the most accurate. Because I think, that kind of big blue IBM playing chess against Kasparov kind of model, I can see. Tabscanner versus the Turks.
Yeah.
An annual.
If we put a timer on it, we'd win.
Well, that's the 2 parts. I think that was one of the interesting things about the big blue and Kasparov thing, was that there was a timer. It was kind of visible. It was kind of highly measurable what the outcomes were. And I think you're almost in the same position. So maybe there's a kind of Tabscanner Olympics coming up online.
Bring it on. That'll be fun. That'll be great. Yeah. And we can get some ground truth data while it's happening as well. So that'd be good. Yeah.
You're giving me a few ideas here for what we can do next. So we're kind of just after our half-hour mark. We normally try and keep these things, tight for 30 minutes. If anyone's got any questions, they can fire them onto the chat box just now. As I said, we'll send the recording out to everyone who's attending. If people have missed it, they'll get the recording automatically. Do you have any sort of closing comments at all? Any sort of things you want points to raise that we didn't cover yet?
No, I think, obviously, as a passionate entrepreneur who's the CEO of this company, I could talk for days about our technology. So I won't subject anyone to that. But no, I guess it's just like, to round it up, it's the difference between what people think is OCR and what is data classification. I think is just an important thing for people to understand, because we do get that misconception a lot, where you have Google Vision, you have OCR, technologies, and they're able to read text, but that's not where the problem is. It's a format problem when it comes to documents. It's a what is that text problem, and that's where the AI really is the powerhouse behind the technology. So I guess that's just kind of worth kind of saying there. We come across that kind of misconception a lot. So yeah, but no, it's been really nice, and appreciate you having us on here and just to talk about something that obviously I'm really passionate about. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think when you look at the importance of, no matter what you're doing, having a passion for it is kind of like it's fantastic. That's what's going to that kind of energy is going to carry you forward through the kind of the ups and downs of any kind of new organization. But also, it does translate into when people are hearing that and seeing someone who's really committed to solving a specific problem. And buyers will always kind of be enthused by that. So Rashad, so thank you very, very much for sharing this with us. I would love to dig more into the entrepreneurial questions as well sometime, which we'll come back to in the future. But maybe let's do this in 6 months' time. Let's do a live, Tabscanner versus the Turks, and see if do a live competition.
No, that'd be awesome, Edward. Yeah, if you arrange that, I'm definitely there. And it'd be nice to see where we've come in 6 months as well. Things are moving so quickly, and yeah. But really, thanks again. I really appreciate you having me on, and like I say, I love talking about what I'm passionate about. So. And it's people think you're quite strange to be passionate about receipt data extraction. I mean, it's not necessarily the most entertaining thing in the world, but once you get into the problem, that's when it's just the solving of the difficult problem that makes it addictive, and and what you get passionate about. But yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. No, passion is very, very important in anything. Excellent. Right, Rashad, thanks
Awesome.
very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Edward. Thanks.
Cheers, man.
Take care now.